السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه أما بعد. Alhamdulillah, the summer holidays are upon us. Many of our children are now free of the duties and responsibilities of secular education. They have a long 6 weeks ahead of them, and so today will be a message to parents and also a message to our young brothers and sisters in relation to these holidays. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states in the Quran, we know the many verses that highlight the importance of protecting our families and ourselves from hellfire and fulfilling our obligations and duties. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us that kullukum ra'in wa kullukum mas'ulun an ra'iyatih. You have all been given responsibility and you will all be questioned in relation to those responsibilities. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states in the Quran, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu la takhunu Allah wal rasula wa takhunu amanatikum wa antum ta'lamun. O you who believe, do not betray Allah and His Messenger, and do not betray your trusts. Do not fail in fulfilling your trust, wa antum ta'lamun, knowingly. And then He says, وَعْلَمُوا أَنَّمَا أَمْوَالُكُمْ وَأَوْلَادُكُمْ فِتْنَةٌ. Know that your wealth, your possessions, and your children are a test and a trial for you. وَأَنَّ اللَّهَ عِنْدَهُ أَجْرٌ عَظِيمٌ. And that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prepared a great reward. In another verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu qu anfusakum wa ahlikum nara. O you who believe, protect yourselves and your family members from hellfire. And so as parents, we are working very hard to provide the basic necessities for our children and ensure that they are successful in their secular education. But we should not be blinded, and we should not think that this would be enough to answer the questioning of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of Qiyamah. If our jobs and our duties as parents is just to provide shelter and protection and security and clothing and food and leisure, then animals do this. We have a greater duty and responsibility. And if we think just through, although secular education is important, but it has its limitations, it does not teach a person to fulfill his responsibility to Allah. It does not teach a person to fulfill his responsibility to society. Doesn't emphasize moral values. It is only focused on dunya and its material. And so it is limited. And it ends with the end of this world. And so although important, we should not think that we are, accomplishing all our duty and responsibility by providing education to our children. There is much more, and that is inculcating in them, number one, the love of Allah and His Messenger. Number two, the importance of obeying Allah and His Messenger. Number three, the importance of the Quran in the life of the Muslim. Number four, realization that this life is short-lived and that we are going to return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for eternity. And we either enter into Jannah and paradise and the mercy of Allah and the fadl and blessing of Allah, or we are doomed to hellfire, misery and punishment and torment and difficulty. And then teaching them and inculcating in them good traits, good characteristics. Because what happens is that if you teach your children good adab, good etiquettes, they come out into the world and they become beloved to people. And so their life experience becomes a good one, because everybody with them is dealing with them in a good way. But if you don't teach your children good etiquettes, good moral conduct, what happens is that they become wild like beasts, and they come out and people don't like them. And then they have to live a difficult life. And so it is a statement that in our Sharia, that a father cannot give his son or his child a greater gift than good moral conduct and good akhlaq and etiquettes. To do all of this, we as parents have to invest our time, our wealth, and our energy, especially during the summer holidays. We need to ensure that our children are spending good quality time with us as parents, and we are utilizing that time to provide this much needed aspect of education that they will not get elsewhere. They will not receive elsewhere. And we do that by gentle direction, not harshness and rebuking all the time. There is a time for harshness and seriousness, and the rest of the time should be gentle reminders. Also, we do that by demonstrating good conduct ourselves and being good role models to our children. And so if we want them to prioritize deen, then we have to be seen to prioritize deen and Allah and His Messenger. If we want them to prioritize family, then we have to be seen prioritizing family instead of spending all of our waking hours either working or out with friends and colleagues and what have you. If we want them to realize the importance of responsibility, then they should learn that from us. And so this time should be utilized, because it will go. How many summers have come and gone? What did we benefit from them? What did we take from them? This is one of the gifts of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is the gift of time. And humanity has not even realized how great a blessing it is. You only know how great a blessing time is the time of your death. When it's time to go and you don't have a moment left. Only that person knows the value of one moment where they can remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They can do one good deed, one good utterance, one good intention. And so we do not even understand time, never mind its value. Right? So science still does not understand time. How is it that we are all sitting here, we all have 24 hours in a day, 60 minutes in an hour, 60 seconds in a minute, but each one of us is utilizing this time in different ways. Some of us are benefiting, some of us are wasting, some of us are, this time is causing us more harm than good. And so it is a blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it should be utilized in a way that is beneficial, either worldly benefit or religious and deeni benefit. Obviously deeni benefit takes precedence because it is the most important, it is everlasting. Allah says in the Quran, Surah Sabbih is traditionally in the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam something, a surah that is recited on Jummah often. What does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala admonishes? He says, سَيَذَّكَّرُ مَنْ يَخْشَى, those who fear, standing before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, will take heed, they will take a lesson from this reminder. سَيَذَّكَّرُ مَنْ يَخْشَى وَيَتَجَنَّبُهَا الْأَشْقَى. And the loser will not benefit from the reminder. What is the outcome? الَّذِي يَصْلَى النَّارَ الْكُبْرَى, ultimately ending up in hellfire. ثُمَّ لَا يَمُوتُ فِيهَا وَلَا يَحْيَى, neither dying nor living. It is not a life, the life of hellfire. And it does not end. Then further on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, بَلْ تُؤْثِرُونَ الْحَيَاةَ الدُّنْيَا, you give preference to this worldly life. وَالْآخِرَةُ خَيْرٌ وَأَبْقَى, and akhirah is better and everlasting. وَمَا عِنْدَ اللَّهِ خَيْرٌ لِلْأَبْرَارِ, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, what Allah has prepared with Himself for the righteous is far better and greater. And so always deen takes precedence What does this mean? It means that during these holidays, we need to prioritize the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As a prime example, salah has to be offered on time. Any child of ours who is above the age of 7 should be praying their at least 4 daily salawat on time. Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, Isha. Okay, Fajr, whenever they wake up, they're taught. First thing, when you wake up, you don't go to the TV, you don't go to the phone, you don't go to the park, you don't go to the computer, the first thing you do is you perform wudu and you stand before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ulama say that this period of 40 days has a great impact on a person's habits. Because when we are formed in our mother's wombs, we change, the cycles change, and the changes happen in these time periods, 40 days. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He invited Musa, what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, فَتَمَّ مِيقَاتُ رَبِّهِ أَرْبَعِينَ لَيْلَةً. When Allah invited Musa to give him Torah and to conversate with him, Allah invited him for 40 nights, 6 weeks. And so this is the time that they have with us. And so 6 weeks, if every day of the holidays they are offering their salah punctually, ensuring that they are making wudu, offering salah, standing before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they will inculcate that habit hopefully. And imagine how beloved it is to Allah when your child of 7 years old, 8 years old, 9 years old, who doesn't realize the importance of salah, who does not realize that he is or she is communicating with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But despite that, Allah is shakur, Allah appreciates. And so when Allah sees this child who could be playing, who could be wasting their time, who could be doing 101 things, they have gone and made wudu and taken time and dressed properly and stood before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in salah, this will be protection for their iman throughout their life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not let any good deed, any effort go to waste. Allah appreciates. And this will be a means of guidance for them. And rahmah descending in our homes. So this is number one. Salah on time. Ideally, Jummah, we should come as families to the masjid. Right? Alhamdulillah, we have sisters area. Our children, male children can be with the men. Female children can be with our sisters and mothers. And we come to the masjid and we offer Jummah as a congregation so that children understand, number one, the importance of the masjid. Number two, the importance of, and that they belong to a community, not only to a family, not only to a street, not only to an entire community of people, diverse in their cultures and colors and languages and habits. And so coming to the masjid, and then there should be a time of remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We sit 10 minutes as a family with Quran. Those of us who can read Quran or read the translation, we read 1 page of the Quran, a few lines each, and then translation, and then whatever meanings, the easy meanings that can be, and lessons that can be taken out of the Quran. 10 minutes, that's all that is needed. But that 10 minutes will be a means of barakah, blessing, and guidance. Allah says, قُلْ لَا يَسْتَوِي الْخَبِيثُ وَالطَّيِّبُ وَلَوْ أَعْجَبَكَ كَثْرَةُ الْخَبِيثِ. That truth and falsehood cannot be equal. Even if falsehood is in abundance, we are living in falsehood. Right? The challenges that we are facing in our iman and our worship and our obedience and holding on to the commandments of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, everything outside is driving us away from Allah. But if we have just this little brief time and moment when we sit with the Quran, the book of Allah, that is the truth. لا يأتيه الباطل من بين يديه ولا من خلفه. Allah says, falsehood has no impact on the Quran. It cannot overcome the Quran. And so that little bit of time sitting, discussing, remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, angels will come down, forgiveness will come down, mercy will come down. Our homes will be embellished, beautified with the presence of angels instead of shayateen. And so this is task number 2, salah and some remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then number 3 is giving and teaching our children responsibility in matters of dunya, right? Taking care of their clothing, taking care of giving them chores and tasks to do. Don't let your children, oh, they've had, a full year of education, let them just, be merry and enjoy themselves. No. They should be taught to take care of the things that they can take care of, small chores. And what happens is they learn to work together as a team, brothers and sisters, siblings. The elders looking out for the youngins, and the young ones being respectful to the elders and following the instruction of the elders. So that when we leave this world, we leave behind a family that is connected. Not we leave this world as parents and then our children, one goes east and one goes west. In the best case scenario. Worst case scenario is that they are fighting each other over inheritance and the crumbles of this worldly life. And so teaching them responsibility, targets and fulfilling, and we should plan for this. And it doesn't have to be a perfect plan. Every set of parents should sit over these 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and make a plan for their children. It doesn't have to be the perfect plan. You can only have a few tasks in the day that are planned, and the rest of the day let the children enjoy their free time and do whatever they want to do and entertain themselves. There's no harm in that. Islam wants for the children to play and enjoy themselves and be merry and happy. All of this is permissible, but it should be structured. Just like eating sweets is halal, but you can't eat sweets 3 times a day, right? And so play and entertainment and all of this is halal, absolutely, but it should not be the only purpose. Because when we do that, when we just let our children be and just have a good time, it's okay, here's a phone, here's a device, here's a computer, go out and do whatever you like, you're teaching your child that the only thing that is important is in this world is self-gratification and fulfillment of what I want to do, what makes me happy. And what we know as adults is that eventually the things that you enjoy now and make you happy now, when you do them too often and they are readily available, what happens is you get bored of that, and then you're looking for something else and then something else, and then eventually you're going from good things to questionable things, and then even those are not they're not providing that that pleasure and that entertainment. And so eventually you delve into what is haram and reprehensible, all of it seeking to gratify and enjoy. And so we should plan for this, and ideally we should plan with our children. Ask them what is it that they want to do, right? Plan with our children, include them in the planning, right? And see what is it that they want to do, and whatever is reasonable and within our ability as parents, we negotiate. Okay, so this is where you want to go, whether it is parks or beach or theme parks or these places of play and entertainment. Okay, but then what is it that you are going to do in order to deserve this? And so they understand that you fulfill duty, you fulfill responsibility, and then you are rewarded. You don't just life is not a playground. Life is the abode of responsibility and fulfilling duty. And then the playground is where? Jannah. Eternally do what you like, whenever you like, as you like. وَلَكُمْ فِيهَا مَا تَشْتَهِي أَنفُسُكُمْ. Allah says. In this world He does not say I will fulfill your desire. Allah in this world He says I will give you some of the things that you ask for. What you need I will give you. And what I think you need, not what you think you need, what I think you need, I will give you. But in Akhirah, He says, whatever you want. وَلَكُمْ فِيهَا مَا تَشْتَهِي أَنفُسُكُمْ وَلَكُمْ فِيهَا مَا تَدَّعُونَ. Whatever you desire, whatever you ask for, you will be granted and given. And so we said what? Number 1 is Salah. Number 2, a time of, if possible, bringing our children to the masjid, right, for Jummah or for halaqat and things of that sort. Spending some time in the masjid as a family is very important. Time with Quran and remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Responsibility and chores and duty. And then comes, play and entertainment, and always things outside and activities outside are far better than activities that are inside, because our children spend, because of the weather and in the country, in the UK and what have you, we are always in boxes, like somebody said. You're at home, that is a box, and then you get in your car, that's a box, and then you go to work, that's a box, right? And then in order to entertain yourself, you go to the cinema, that's a box, or you go to a restaurant, that's another box. So we are always, in buildings and what have you. And so you need to, go in nature, go in nature and enjoy. And that is the best form of, pastime and recreation, is to go out in nature, where you are surrounded by the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you highlight and you point out these things, pointing out to the creation of Allah. And so that can become what? Recreation, but at the same time educational and boosting of iman. How Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created, and how all of these things are placed for our benefit, so that we can make use of it and enjoy it, right? And then after that, places of leisure, permissible, there's no problem with that, but the energies usually there are very, there's a spike of these energies of desire, and no, not haram, but it should not be the go-to. Go-to should be nature and places where the atmosphere is calm, and we are able to spend time together and remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and enjoy some food and some entertainment and some play and what have you. But there is also room for going to these places of leisure, like theme parks and what have you. There's no problem in that, inshallah, as long as we're selecting times that are not very busy. People are not going to be going around half dressed and what have you. We have to be careful to what we are subjecting our children to, right? We want them to have fun and enjoy themselves, but not at the expense of their akhlaq, their moral values. Right? And so if we keep taking them to these places and never point out that, okay, this is inappropriate and we should avoid this and what have you, and we as Muslims, okay, we can come, we can enjoy ourselves, but this is not permissible, that is not permissible, then we are just teaching them it's all okay. And we're going to be questioned by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what will you say when your child grows up and starts to venturing into things that are not permissible? They say, well, we grew up doing these things. Well, what's the problem? Right? Inshallah. And last but not least, dua is extremely important. Right? Dua is important. And so ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to inspire us and guide us in order to spend this time in a way that is beneficial from a deeni perspective and from a worldly perspective. Right? Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to inspire you. Make the effort. Our children, our greatest assets in this life. If you educate your child and they come up as a righteous, good human being, you are going to benefit, because when you get old, you will find support and you will find care and you will find mercy and love and compassion, right? But if you don't invest in your child, all you will find is loneliness and misery and hardship, and watching your children destroying themselves but not being able to do anything about it. This is in this world. And if they are righteous, when you die, they remember you, they're making dua for you, seeking forgiveness for you, sadaqah jariyah on your behalf, looking after your relatives and friends, right? And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward you for all of the good deeds that they have done themselves and what they will pass on to future generations. So it is your greatest asset, even greater than yourself. Because what you do, your own ibadah, Allahu Akbar, your own Quran, goes with you in your grave. You die, it goes inside, finish. No more salah, no more dhikr, no more Quran. It's limited. But what you invest in your children is what? It's going to be passed on, inshallah azza wa jal. Because they're going to be brought up on these values, and then they're going to seek to do the same with their children. And so it becomes for you what? Rasulullah said, وَلَدٍ صَالِحٍ يَدْعُو لَهُ. One of the three things that can benefit a person after they die is what? a righteous child. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow us to heed the advice. And most of us know these things, it's not a rocket science. We know these things, but it's just we're so caught up with life and the responsibilities and taking care of the primary, what we see as primary duties, that we overlook sometimes, and we sideline and we think, yeah, later, but there comes a point where we have to take things seriously, because eventually our children will grow into adults and leave the nest, and then it will be too late. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the ability to utilize this time in a fruitful and positive way. We ask the brothers, inshallah, after the adhan is made, that we get close together, stand in lines, inshallah ta'ala, fill in the gaps so that we can have maximum of people into the building. Jazakumullahu khairan.